Welcome to the Life Inner Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Life Inner Show, we help people make more, work less, and create lives and businesses they love. I am joined by my Polish comrade, Polish Peter Kolat. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. How are you? First, before we go any further, dude, for this episode, I just want to say I forgive you.
Well, I forgive you for thinking you have to forgive me when in fact you have to forgive yourself. Listen,
there was one time when you were, when we were at the event,
that one time, right?
That's right. Listen, so I forgive you, dude.
And that leads into our topic for today's episode, which is forgiveness, right? What a powerful word. It's a word that's kind of thrown around. Some people, you may have just heard what we said of forgiveness and you think, oh, this doesn't apply to me. I don't need to listen to this. Yeah, what are they going to say that I don't already know? Trust me, there's a lot in this episode that you need to hear. This is a really, really valuable episode. I think everyone needs to hear this, whether we're talking about forgiving others, where we're talking about asking for forgiveness, whether we're talking about forgiving ourselves. This is something incredibly powerful that if you apply to your life will make a tremendous difference.
Yeah, and I will encourage you to really listen to this episode. Here's the thing. Me as a coach, this is one of those conversations that I have a lot with my students. And the reason why I have those conversations with them is because when you go through this process, when you go through the forgiveness process, whether it's for yourself or for someone in your life, it has such a tremendous impact on your success and success of your business, success of your family, your relationship, everything you would not believe. So it is such an important topic, like Roger said. So listen to it, take it on. There is a demo that they go through that I show you how to go through it. So I would encourage you to watch it on the video, how they do it. And just listen. It's one of the most important topics that you can actually take on in any time in life.
Absolutely. And so we have an interview here with Brad and Jeanette McBee, two Life and Air students who we've known for quite a while. They're experts in this stuff. They help people with this all the time. Let's jump into the interview right now with Brad and Jeanette. Brad and Jeanette, welcome to the Life and Air Show, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great interview, and we're going to talk about one of the things that you guys have. So let me just give a quick context here. I know you guys through Life and Air, and you guys just pour into so many couples, and you've had an awesome journey, and not just business wise, Brad. We're not going to talk about your business now and how you quit your job and all those things, but I want to talk about something that you guys has come up several times in as a topic that I think our listeners would love, and that's forgiveness. We're going to talk about probably this in a context of not just a spousal relationship, but more so like this is a concept and a principle that applies to like every part of our lives. Mm-hmm. And so like when you are able to kind of embrace this concept, it has just transformation effects. But before we even get into that, like tell us, first of all, what was it about this topic that you guys realized was so powerful in your own lives? And how did this come to be a focus for you two?
Well, we're perfect. So, we don't need
so it wasn't us. It was somebody else.
Like, since we're experts, like we would just share.
Great interview. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Big takeaway is I'm perfect. You're perfect.
If you're perfect, you don't need to have forgiveness. Right. Well, you need to have forgiveness for the other people that aren't perfect, I think.
Right. Yeah. Grace. Yeah. So no, it's exactly for the opposite reason.
Okay.
We're messed up. Everybody's messed up. We all have our own stuff. Nobody's perfect. And if you're close enough with somebody for long enough, you're going to hurt each other. Mm-hmm. And you got to know how to be able to deal with that.
Got it.
So we started looking at forgiveness before we were married. And there were some things that we had hurt each other, obviously. And we had some people pouring into us that said, have you ever looked at, forgiving each other and kind of having a clean slate before you get married? And obviously, no, we had never thought about that before. So we decided that this would be a good step into a new part of our lives. And we just kept doing it throughout our marriage and with our kids. So
yeah, we had people that knew us, poured into us. It was part of our premarital counseling. And, they, in their wisdom, thankfully, they saw what we couldn't see and knew that we needed help and to be shored up in this area. And gosh, it's been the one thing that has just
we just keep coming back to.
Yeah, probably saved our marriage over and over. I mean, if we didn't know how to forgive each other, gosh, I don't know where we would be. So super thankful for that.
And so I love what you said, Jeanette. You said, start with a clean slate. And what it sounds like is like, this is a clean slate of past hurts that have occurred, as well as, I also got the impression for you guys, this is something that you don't just wipe the slate clean once. It's like a regular thing. It's like going to the gym and of sorts. You kind of got to keep doing it because someone's always going to screw up.
Oh yeah.
Do you only clean your kitchen counters once?
I wish. Yeah. My wife's only cleaned it once. I cleaned it the rest of the time.
I want those.
Right. Yeah. Life continues to get messy, and you got to go through and clean it up.
And being able to teach it to our kids, and we use it in our friendships too. I mean, this is something that is a benefit for all of our relationships.
Yeah. I can't help it. Like, this is the word forgiveness. Like, I think it's thrown around quite a bit, but very few people, I think, actually understand what it is. And even less people actually are willing to kind of entertain this thought of forgiveness, because it's like, oh, well, you don't know what they've done to me, or you know what, they keep doing it. How can they really be sorry if they're going to continue to do this against me? And people really get hung up on it, and it becomes like they don't deserve forgiveness. Like, so to walk us through some of the things that you guys have learned about the process of forgiveness, some of the things that you've found fruitful in your own relationship or your friendships or anything else you've dealt with, like, so that our listeners can kind of start to understand this from your perspective.
Right. And just to land on that a little bit, when you're talking about some of the reasons why not to give forgiveness, we're not doing this from a standpoint of, brushing our feelings under the rug. Our emotions are real, and the things that have happened to us are real and sometimes traumatic. And so we really do need to address these things in a way that's healthy for us in the long run, not just what feels good right now. Right. So we do have compassion for people who have been through some rough things. And so when we're able to talk about forgiveness, we're able to really be able to talk about the heart of the matter and not just symptoms of what's going on around them. So I don't know if you want to answer Wojo's question, because I didn't.
Well, I think, before we go in the process, I think it's important to, like, what is your definition of forgiveness? Because like Wojo said, not a lot of people actually, I think, know what really forgiveness is.
Right. I mean, well, we can look in the dictionary, but I think it's more of the practice and the practicality of it, and like, what do you want the outcome to be, right? Forgiveness is definitely a choice, right? You have to choose to forgive somebody. And why would you do that? Well, I think you have to have some self-awareness and reflection and like realization that they're messed up, but you're messed up too. Like we all have our own things. We're all unique and different, but nobody's perfect. And like, yes, your story may be way different than ours, but everybody still plays a part in a relationship, and we all have our roles that we play. And so therefore we're responsible and we're accountable for the things that we do and say and how we act and all of those things. So knowing our place, that we're not any better than anybody else. And if we want to be forgiven, then we need to forgive others.
Mm-hmm. So in a marriage relationship, for example, if I don't forgive him, I'm basically shooting myself in the foot. I'm living with this unforgiveness that will show symptoms of bitterness and unrest in our marriage. There's no peace. I'll spark up a fight and maybe not know why. And it's because there's unforgiveness there that I need to address.
Right.
So it's this, he wronged me, and I haven't brought it up, or I brought it up in a way that's not beneficial, and I haven't even given him a chance to make it right. So
yeah, it's so easy to get into this crazy downward spiral, crazy cycle, or this tit for tat kind of,
Yeah.
you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you, jab back and forth kind of thing. And of course, no, that's healthy, but you have to decide, like, is that where you want to live? Like, is that what you want your relationships to look like? Or are you going to choose to do something different? And forgiveness is one vehicle to get your relationship into a different place.
Yeah.
So how do you guys go through the process then? How does it work?
So it looks about the same whether we're doing it, whether it's me and Brad, or whether I've done this with friends.
Well, first she muzzles me.
Ties you down.
Yeah.
That actually explains a lot. Yep.
Let me talk.
Right.
So he, but you know what? I'll use the example I've done with my friends. So, and just to let you know, there, from my experience, has been reward in seeking forgiveness from a friend, or bringing something up that I gave them the opportunity to ask forgiveness for something. So our relationship has always gotten stronger because of that. Rarely has it ever gone into a place of, not being reconcilable. So with a friend of mine, and it's, sometimes I kind of psych myself out a little bit, right? I just like, I don't know if I can do this, and they're going to think I'm weird, and they may not even know why I'm asking forgiveness for, but I just feel restless and like I did something wrong. I need to make it right. So I'll call them up, and I don't do a voicemail, don't do this text wise. It kind of
over the phone or in person.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Okay.
it kind of brings trouble, right? So I call her up, and I tell her, I just been really feeling like I wronged you, and I'm very specific about was like, I said something to someone else about something that you did, like I gossiped or something. So I'll tell her, I did that. I feel terrible about it. I am so sorry. And, would you forgive me for speaking wrongly about you? I do apologize. So, and sometimes they have to think about it, which can be hard. But they'll also come back and say, well, I really thank you for telling me. They're glad that I brought it up, that it's not just, something that would cause division in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do it with a friend.
Yeah.
So
Does that help?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is like,
Okay.
really, there's two sides of this forgiveness thing. So you're actually, if you're on the offensive or the offending side, you kind of have to ask for forgiveness. And on the receiving side of things, if you've been wronged, you have to be able to forgive somebody. And maybe, quite frankly, maybe you need to do this whether or not they ask for it, because how many of us have held grudges or resentment against people because like they never said it, I'm sorry, or they never apologized, or but there's still, like you said, Brad, earlier, it's a choice. You have to decide.
Yeah.
And to some extent, like if you have to have the awareness, it sounds like, Jeanette, and the humility to go to somebody and say, I've wronged you. I've done something here. Please forgive me. And then Brad, to your point, it's like that person has the choice, and Jeanette, you said this as well. They may wait, maybe they don't forgive you, but at least you've kind of cleared the air. And so what do you think, what are some of the things, can somebody avoid having to have this conversation? And what does that look like? Like, so when you have a conversation about forgiveness, is there anything in there that would precede that step? Meaning, like, where do you realize something's not right? Or where do you figure out that something's not quite the way it should be?
Yeah. Do you mean like you had a fight?
Well, or a fight, or maybe the person's acting different, or something seems
Right.
off.
Yeah. I think there's cues that, I think a lot of us,
I've given cues before.
yeah. I mean, and, guys, like, sometimes we're lousy at picking up on the woman's cues. Like, she's broadcasting and we're receiving it. It's like different language and all that stuff. But so, being a student of your wife, I mean, just talking specifically to the men, understanding how she ticks. And, I'm sure in Life and Air, we've talked about like 5 love languages and personality profiles, and all those kind of things play into, understanding who the other person is and how they tick. And, but, you'll see things like, they withdraw, they're cold to you, they pull away, they're distant, they don't want to have physical contact, they give you the cold shoulder, or they're short and snappy with you in their responses, and just there's more little jabs and all that kind of stuff. So cutting with words and pulling away, and so there's a lot of symptoms that I think we would probably all recognize, and that's when you go, uh-oh. Like,
what did I do?
I'm in the doghouse now.
We get punched in the face, another cue, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, go sleep on Peter's couch. So.
Well,
no, but I think, and here's the other thing I think that we're not really looking at is there is that cue that happens for us internally. Like I talk about the nudge, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we can sense it, right? A lot of times that something is not right. Something is off, right? Yeah. And being able to have the courage to speak up about it.
Well, and if I could bring up, this has happened with our children. If I feel like there's something off with my son or my daughter, and they're withdrawing from me, and I'm not sure why, I can go to them and ask them, is there, how are you feeling about our relationship right now? And how are you feeling about your brother right now or your sister? Was there anything that happened earlier? Do you have some yucky feelings that you need to air out? And then it usually does come down to someone needs to ask forgiveness of them, or they need to ask forgiveness from someone else.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that about the parenting relationship, because especially younger kids, like they don't have the same skills to articulate how they're feeling, and they just know that something is
not right
off. And well, actually, now that I think about it, like a lot of guys don't know how to articulate their feelings all that well either. I mean, well, maybe it's just me.
Brad, are you saying men are children?
I didn't say anything.
You said that. I'll let the women answer. We all know the truth. But we talk about like the external, like how the other person is acting. But I think like what you said, Peter, that nudge, it's your conscience. Internally, like something's not right. Like I continue to have just bitterness and holding a grudge against this person, and maybe you don't even know why. And a lot of those things can be habits or patterns that you've just done for a long time. And bitterness is really can be really devastating, especially in a marriage. I mean, it's one of those things. Like bitterness is like drinking poison hoping that the other person is going to die. Right? It only hurts you. And the only way to get out of that situation is to forgive the other person. And it may be a lengthy process, and it might have to revisit things over and over again. But you got to take control of that.
Man, I know exactly what you're mentioning here. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking of I had a real estate deal go bad once, and the guy, I feel like I was kind of screwed over, and the guy didn't pay me my money, and I had lent him money and everything else, and I held on to that for years. And it literally was just a couple months ago where I finally said,
it's
what,
easy to do.
It's who cares? Like, it's money. I was kind of friends with the guy before all this, like whatever, it's not the end of the world. I reached out to the guy, and we caught up, and by the way, he didn't really apologize. he didn't apologize, but I said, you know what? Like you said, Brad, it's not like, who is this really hurting? Like, he probably doesn't,
So now,
Right.
it doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's,
now we know how you lost your hair.
yeah, dude, you need more lines. You've used that one like 5 times already with different things. But
That's
true.
another reason. All right.
But it really is like,
Yeah.
you got to be okay with, like,
Yeah.
you know, now hopefully in a
Right.
relationship, it's really important to kind of express it, get that expressed forgiveness. And hopefully in a marriage, especially, you guys can come to this agreement. But like, in some cases, we're going to be hurt by
Right.
people, and they're not going to apologize, and you just got to let it go. Like, at some point, I mean, because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just killing
Yeah.
you.
And
Mhm.
I'm really thankful that you were able to go back and have a conversation with that person. We want to forgive, to seek reconciliation with the other person, and ultimately have restoration in the relationship and come out healthier on the other side, right? When they're right here, that's easier to do. If they're long distance, of course, we can call or Zoom or whatever. But there's lots of people that maybe have bitterness or unforgiveness with maybe a parent that's now deceased, or somebody else that passed away. And what do you do then?
Mhm.
It's like, forgiveness, it isn't conditional on receiving forgiveness from the other person, but you need to, just ask for yourself and release that unforgiveness, release that bitterness. Of course, the preference is to be able to talk to one another. And so,
Right.
maybe that should give us a sense of urgency in our relationships, that we don't let those things go. Don't let them fester. Maybe if you're feeling that nudge right now, maybe there's somebody you need to have a conversation with today.
Mhm.
Man, that's huge. And as you're speaking, like, something just popped in my head. Sometimes when people are resistant to giving that forgiveness or asking for forgiveness, is because they're valuing principle over peace. They're valuing the principle that they believe they were right. They are justified, instead of the peace that they would have internally if they chose to give that forgiveness and have that conversation. And so it's kind of like,
Right. Think about.
Oh, go ahead, Jeanette.
Sorry, I was just think about, how much further they would be able to go in their life without that baggage hang on to them.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
it makes me wonder on that point, because someone who is what Voja was talking about, what I'm hearing is someone who thinks they're right? The principle is, I'm right. I'm always right? And I'm just right.
Right, fighter.
So,
Right, fighter.
Well, listen, but if that person who believes that he's always right, does he actually feel like the forgiveness is needed, or like there is like some thing that's underneath there that needs to be worked on or dealt with or whatever? I'm wondering if that's actually the case. So they're like totally fine and moving around and doing however they need to go. What do you guys think?
Well, what I've seen, even in the strongest men and the strongest women, that they still need to offer forgiveness and ask for forgiveness. There's a sense of, yes, I'm fine, everything's fine, we're all fine. Right?
It's a mask.
But yeah, it's a facade. And are you going to live your life, Peter, with your words, having integrity with yourself, or are you just trying to make it through life and I have to be this way and I have to do this thing? Or am I going to be an authentic person to myself? Am I going to be self-aware? Am I going to do these hard things that's actually going to make me better in the long run?
Yeah. Pride's a killer, man. I mean, that's tough.
Well, and Jeanette, I think you said something I really want to just pull out and unpack for a second. You said the strongest people forgive and and ask for forgiveness as well. And so I want to highlight that for a moment. I think a lot of people believe that forgiving someone is being weak. Like, oh, you're letting them walk all over you, or you're letting them get away with that. They don't deserve that. Or
Great point.
they themselves, like you mentioned, Brad, they're so prideful. They're like, or I don't do any wrong, or that, no, I didn't, I meant this.
Yeah.
And they justify their actions. And so I really think that's a great point, that, it does take an act of courage and strength to forgive, as well as ask for forgiveness. It's very, I know it seems like kind of counterintuitive, but I believe that you hit the nail on the head there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To be able to talk to someone about something that is hard, and sometimes we talk about emotional intelligence. Are you going to be wise, or are you going to stuff that feeling? And how good is that for any given person? The party that you're in relationship with. It's really being able to see a bigger picture of what your life should look like,
Yeah, it's come down to choice. I mean,
it does.
It's all choice. Do you want to be prideful and, I can do no wrong and everybody else, and justify everything, like you said, and go home at night and be lonely and angry? Or do you want to take a leap of faith, have some courage, admit your mistakes, take accountability for your words and past actions, and go tell somebody that, hey, I realize now that what I said and did was wrong, and I acknowledge that I hurt you, and would you please forgive me for that?
Man, I think what you said is super important right there. Like, what do you really want? Is it better for your life to be right and to be justified, or is it better for your life just to be humble enough to either give or ask for forgiveness? Like, what's going to get you closer to what you really find most important? Right. So in terms of like the actual helping somebody learn to forgive others as well as ask for forgiveness, is that what you kind of helps you and I don't want to say lower yourself, because that's probably not the right thing I'm trying to say, but like, is that what you really focus on when you're struggling in that moment? You're heated, you're hurt, you're emotional. What helps you? What's something that helps you kind of like take a step back and weigh this a little bit more carefully, so that you have a better chance for success, like so that you are more likely to do what needs to be done versus kind of cause more damage?
Sure.
I would say even physically taking a step back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being able to reassess outside of that heated conversation, just telling the person, look, I need a timeout.
Yeah. So sometimes, things can get heated, and it's like, well, I need to just take a breath here,
right.
Collect yourself, collect your thoughts and your feelings, and have some self-control.
And even before you get heated, being able to acknowledge that that's going on in your heart and your mind, and saying, look, if I say anything else, this is going to go in a place I don't want it to go, and I don't even mean for it to go. Yeah. Let's stop. We'll come back at this time.
There's so many good things on that, like this topic. It's we can talk about how do you it's all communication, right? I mean, it's all in the umbrella of communication. And so like, how do you communicate with your spouse so that you don't get in these huge knockdown, drag out fights in the first place? Well,
I'm also thinking like a business partner,
and and just avoid it's not that you're never going to have conflict, but it's how do you handle those things still in a controlled and like respectful and loving way, right?
Oh, and just a side note, we are not controlled and respectful 100% of the time. What we're talking about here is hard, and it does take practice, right? I'm sure you guys recognize that too. Like,
we fail all the time.
Yeah, sometimes it takes someone in the middle being able to also translate a little bit.
But we're better now than 16 years ago when we got married. So it takes practice.
Mhm.
We could do a little role play,
Sure. Yeah.
show you how to do it.
Just throw that out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, because when we talk with other couples, this is one of the
One of the things we do.
fun things that we like to do. So
Fun.
Let's hear it.
Well,
Let's
Not
hear it.
awkward.
yeah, well, so like you set the scene. Jeanette ate my leftover pizza again, and she's done this several times, and I don't like that.
I
Love
can
my
totally
leftover-
see that happening.
She's sneaky.
It's a little true to life. I didn't know he was going to do this.
Okay, so I've been wronged. I'm upset. I can choose, like, I'm just gonna lay into her and rail about, you did it again and you shouldn't have done that, and like all this bitterness and stuff that I'm throwing off the shelf at her, these hand grenades that I'm lobbing in there, right? Or can have self-control and approach her, and so we're
Mhm.
facing each other.
Oh, we're holding
We're-
hands.
We're
That's actually really helpful.
touching, holding hands.
Peter, I'm
You're
not going to hold
married.
your hand when you apologize to me. I'm not going to hold your hand, Peter.
If you're married
Well,
or with your
I'm
kids,
offended by that, Bojo.
Yeah,
by
hold,
the way.
hold
Well,
their
I have
hand.
You do whatever you
for
want.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. But for a married couple, the physical touch is
Disclaimer.
important, right? Because it's hard to be angry with somebody that you're
Yeah, they're physically close.
embracing, touching, so and have good eye contact, and you state the facts of what happened, right? And try and keep it limited to that, right? So, hey, I noticed my pizza's gone. Did you eat my leftover pizza?
Yes.
Okay. I asked you not to. I know it's just pizza, but it's happened before, and I kind of feel disrespected by that.
Yeah, I understand. You're right. I disrespected you. Please forgive me for not respecting your wishes.
Thanks. Yeah, I forgive you.
Okay. And I will work hard not to eat your pizza again.
Okay. And then you hug, and everything's
Yes.
okay,
You have closure.
right? And you let that go. Now, that's kind of silly, but I just want to break down.
When
the,
you've been wronged, this is what that looks like.
yeah. So the key pieces of that were the body language, the touching, and then not going off like throwing these emotional hand grenade things, but talking about the facts. And then the key phrase in all this is, would you please forgive me for, and then the specific offense, right? Because a question demands an answer. And it's way better than just like a drive-by, hey, sorry about that,
Right.
which is not sincere.
Right.
On the other aspect of it, it's you, Brett, have to mean that, yeah, I forgive you, right? Because
Right.
Yeah.
listen, in the back of your head, is it, well, she gonna eat that pizza again? Because we're ordering a pizza tonight. It's one of the best pizzas that we had in town, and we're probably gonna have leftovers. So now, do I need to put that pizza in the garage so she doesn't see it, or
Yeah.
Right.
That's the risk that you take in relationships, right? Yeah, she may very well do it again.
Well,
And I might get hurt again,
right.
Yeah.
but
Well,
the benefit of the relationship is worth the risk.
Mhm.
and I was just
And
gonna say,
definitely
it's-
not
yeah.
talking about an abusive situation. That's
Yeah,
something
right.
totally different.
Right.
That's not okay. But these marital,
Tips.
yeah, we're always going to do stuff that wrongs, annoys, digs at each other, that kind of stuff.
And I think before you even get to the forgiveness stage, like there's a stage of awareness, like, hey, what I'm about to do may be
Oh, yeah.
hurtful, and maybe I shouldn't do it, or maybe I should ask, hey, can I have this pizza? Or hey, or just letting it go, like, and whatever.
Right.
It's
Pick your battles.
Yeah, like it really just doesn't even bother me that much, and whatever, it's fine. And you can poke some fun at them or something, or have some fun with it. But like some of it is finding that balance of the end of the day, it just means not carrying around this weight, right? So it's just whether it's water off a duck's back and it never bothers you to begin with, and your expectations for the other person, and what you find is acceptable and not acceptable is kind of simply it's just less tense, or it is an actual infraction that you need to forgive. And in either case, the end result is the same, which you mentioned is one of the first things why you forgive somebody, is because what do I really want my life to look like? Is it going to be peace and harmony and and togetherness
and unity in our marriage?
Yeah.
But great point about choose when you're going to do this, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be for every little offense, right? If you see patterns, like habitual things that the other person keeps doing, and we use the silly pizza example, but I mean, there can be real things where you're genuinely hurt by them over and over again. Maybe the guy says some things that are, hurtful, not intending to,
right,
but hurtful towards her in like her appearance, or, digging or complaining against, what she does or doesn't do around the house, or, all kinds of things. And vice versa for guys, like, she may be disrespectful, may try to lead when maybe it's more of my position or role to do that, or is just nagging or hurtful with her words or whatever. If it's something over and over, then I would say that's when you bring that up and say, hey, I think this is an issue that if we could address this, then our marriage would be healthier going forward.
Yeah.
So listen, I got a question for you, because from that example, I don't want something to be overlooked, because you said at the end about closure, right? That to me means that there is, that process has been completed, like you've been forgiven, right? So how do you know there is a closure to that? And this speaks to like this forgive and forget, or what does that look like, that the closure? How do you know that that's actually happened?
That's a great question, because some of us are built like we really need that closure, and others aren't.
She needs it.
I need it. He doesn't.
Not so much.
And so again, it depends on the relationship, but like with close friends,
what we just did in the role play. I said, yes, I forgive you.
Right.
So saying the words out loud specifically, it is important. So would you please forgive me? Yes, I forgive you. Again, yes, I forgive you, with eye contact, with sincerity. It's way better than, yeah, whatever, we're good.
Right. But if somebody does that, we don't have any control over that.
Well, yeah,
we know
we
did what was right and what was better for the relationship. And I
think it's okay to ask a clarifying, like, are you?
I'm not quite sure what you mean. Could you?
I really hope you're sincere. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And
that's a good point, because Jeanette, like, sometimes that closure never comes, and you ask for forgiveness.
Right.
You're genuinely sorry for something that you've done, someone you've hurt, and they just choose not to forgive you. And so that is another kind of layer that you have to, what do you do? What is your advice for someone that has had that experience?
Well, that's something I've walked through before, sometimes with family members that don't really know where I'm coming from or whatever. The best thing I can do is know that for myself, I did okay. And I did what I knew was necessary for this relationship to be better. And that's all I have control over, and to have peace with that. Now, when I interact with them again, I'm not going to be my personality is more people pleasing. So I'm not going to be like flattering or whatever and trying to win them over. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just be myself. And that's the best way I can think of to move forward from that.
Yeah. Personal responsibility.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, you know what the right thing is to do, have the courage to do it, and let's move on.
Yeah.
Got it.
Did that answer your question? Is that?
Yeah, well, because I'm wondering, like, for someone if someone doesn't forgive you, do you keep apologizing over and over, or is it out there and it's on them? Is it on them to decide?
Well, no, I think it really is on them. If I do it and I mean it, and I know I mean it from my heart, and if that relationship becomes unhealthy, then I have to, make a good decision in that place too. But yeah, okay. I think it's, we're only responsible for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if it was the two of us and like she asked me for forgiveness and I just refused, and depending on what it is, I mean, maybe the severity, the consequences of the offense may be highly emotional or,
That's true.
Whatever it is. And it may not be an instant, I forgive you for that. It may take some time to process through that. And I think it's okay in that moment to either be like, I can't yet. I need to gather my thoughts. Give me some time to process this. And if I'm, if I want to say, like, if I'm doing it right, I'll communicate like, yes, that's what I want. I do want to reconcile, but just give me some time. Right. So at least that gives her something where she's not just hanging.
That's just being kind.
Yeah. So yeah, don't just be mean and walk away, and the other person has no closure, no direction. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point too. You're not trying to hurt them for hurting you. Right. And actually
yes, we don't want to take revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess sometimes that's actually an interesting point, that sometimes if you can look at it as if, like, this person made this decision, maybe because they themselves were hurt and they did this to me because of something going on in their life. And you can kind of, look at, and those are some of the things that can help you as well. I find this,
we don't always know the whole story.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like how many, hurt people. And, you've also heard it said that, we judge others by their actions and we judge ourselves by our intentions. Like there's so many miscommunications that I think you guys mentioned earlier, Brad. It's communication. That's really the key here.
Yep, absolutely.
Got another question for you guys. What do you guys think about forgiving yourself? That topic, because I think that's an extremely important as well, because depending on the situation of what transpired and whatever happened, like Brad earlier, you mentioned about what if the other person is deceased, right? And you can't talk to them anymore, right? Or you've apologized to that person, you went to them, and now maybe they haven't apologized, or they did apologize, but deep down inside, you're still beating yourself up over it, right? How important is that, and how you go through that?
Yeah, great question.
I think that's more personal.
Yeah.
It is. It's more personal, I think, for each individual. For us, that has to do more with our Christian faith, and we believe that forgiveness comes from Christ alone. And so I have a relationship with Jesus, and I feel that I ask and I feel that forgiveness from him. But regardless of what your beliefs are there, I think we all have a conscience. We feel that nudge, right? And you should do something about that. And you should know what the right thing is to do. It's just, are you going to have the courage to choose to do it? And then knowing, like, it's not okay to hold on to these things, and like guilt is not a good feeling for anybody to hold on to. long term. And so I think you have to be willing to let that go and have a healthy view of yourself too. To answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I just wanted to get your input on that. Yeah, Vojo, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, man, I think that to me seems like that is sometimes the hardest thing to do, is to forgive yourself when you've screwed up. Like, you apologize to the other person, you ask for forgiveness, whether or not they give it to you, you're beating yourself up. And so that is just such a toxic cycle. How could I be so stupid? How could I be so mean? How could I do this? And that can really drag somebody down, whether we're talking about, maybe, forgiving themselves. I mean, there's just such a wide array of things that people have experienced here. That's a great point, Peter. Like that's someone else that,
I do make great points.
Right. That's a whole nother show about, self-worth and what happened to you. And, I mean, why do you feel like, you have to keep beating yourself up? I mean, there's if you're feeling that way now, there's probably some good things to go explore in that area too.
I keep thinking of Good Will Hunting, right? When he's like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And
oh my goodness.
Right. What a powerful scene.
Oh yeah.
And so cry like a baby.
Yep.
That's it. Same here. Listen, guys, this has been,
you guys both cry like a baby?
Dude, hey, if you don't, you're not human.
Did you cry like a baby? I didn't.
I cried.
If you didn't, you're not human, Peter.
Maybe I have a hard off.
Maybe you need to look into that.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's how you're going to do it. All right, bring it on.
Awesome. Guys, this has been phenomenal.
What are you not telling us, Peter?
Thanks so much, Vojo.
This has been awesome.
You guys are awesome.
This is an incredible episode that I think everyone needs to hear. Whether we're talking about forgiveness for a spouse, for a friend, for a business partner, for a family member, for ourselves. This, I believe, is truly one of those keystone things that if you can master this one thing in your life and implement this, like, it'll have transformational effects in every aspect. And so it's so important. We can't overstate the importance of it. So thank you for sharing. I know our listeners greatly appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Dude, man, what an awesome episode that was. I got a lot out of that personally. I think you asked a great question at the end about forgiving ourselves. Like, how many of us, hold on to stuff from the past that we never get to move past because we're so busy feeling guilty over something we did, or we carry around the resentment of having someone hurt us and us not forgiving them. I mean, this is just such a powerful topic.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I've went through this process several times for myself with different people in my life, with myself in my own life. Yeah. And it is such a powerful thing that when you actually go through it, when you actually do it and do it sincerely, right? And you feel like there is a closure on that, whether it's for you or for them or whatever it might be, it can have a tremendous impact on your life and everybody in your life. And I really like how they kind of laid it out on how to go through it, that there is the contact, the communication, right? There is a closure to it, right? And that you actually are sincere in those conversations. And whether or not that, forgiveness happens from the other person in the moment, or it takes time. Because listen, there is a big difference between forgiving for a pizza versus forgiving someone who, let's say, cheated, Yeah. And that's a big difference. And going through the process, I think, is really important. Understanding it, I think, too.
Man, I'll tell you, especially when you've been hurt, like, to your point, like, some of you guys are listeners may know I'm divorced, and, my ex-wife served me the divorce papers. And I remember, man, I was so angry and so hurt, and I blamed her 100%. And I really was this was an awful experience until I realized, okay, I played a role in this as well. And so once I made that realization, now I could look at her decisions in a different light and say, hey, you know what? She did the best thing that she thought based on her situation, her what she had available. And I forgave her for that. And I asked her for forgiveness for my mistakes. So I went from being angry and blaming to recognizing my contributions, asking for forgiveness and forgiving her as well. And that's been an incredible weight that had been lifted off of me. And I know you've had experiences like that. In business, you've had experiences like that. And listen, this is a process that you're always going to have to forgive somebody. You're always going to have to ask for forgiveness. We constantly screw up. Hopefully you get better with this and more aware. The older you get, the more mature you become. But it's just a process. You got to realize when you do this, it is just so powerful. Like you said, it can just transform your life.
Yeah, that's just popped up for me as you were talking. I remember one of the 3-day events, my bag was in the back and I came back and you were eating one of my little snacks from the bag. That just popped up. Look at that. I forgive you, Bojo.
Well, I forgive you for hoarding all of the food to yourself and not sharing it.
Oh, that's what it is. No, but listen, on the serious side of things, I would seriously encourage you, every single one of you listeners, look into your own life right now. Like look in there and say, okay, is there any place that I need to forgive or ask for forgiveness? Whether it's with other people, whether it's within yourself, and really be authentic with yourself in that area. Because listen, like Virgil said, asking your ex-wife for forgiveness, or in my case, I had to do that as well. I had to actually have that forgiveness talk with my ex-wife's boyfriend. That is not one of those things that is really easy to even look at and consider, right? Or if it's someone that's deceased in your life, right? That you've never had the chance to talk to them. One of the cool things that I do with my students, and I will encourage you on that, if someone in your life is deceased, write a letter to them. Ask them forgiveness through that letter as you're writing it to them, like you were sending out to them. You know, you can seal it, you can do whatever you want to do afterwards with it. But I think that process is so important because once that weight is lifted off your shoulders, you have no idea how powerful you can be to move forward in life.
And that is a great tip, you know, and you guys, we're sharing some vulnerable things here because this is such a powerful topic and we want to just be transparent with you that, you know, this is something that all of us deal with. This is something that all of us need to implement in our lives. And so I hope you got something out of this episode. I know I did. Peter, you did as well. And Jeanette, Brad and Jeanette really did a great job sharing the importance of this with all of you guys listening right now. So if you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe. We'd love to hear a review from you. Leave us a note. If there's someone you'd like to see on the podcast, let us know about that as well. You can go over to lifeinner.com to see where to submit that. Also, if you want to be part of the Life in Air community, part of the conversation, the discussions that are going on, whether it's about business, personal life, you know, Life in Air, as you guys know, it's not just about money. It's not just about business. It's about life. It's about having the best life possible. And yeah, we talk about business too, because a lot of people discover they want to have their own business and their own dream that they pursue and they build, not somebody else's. And so we help people with that as well. So that's free in the Life in Air app. You can download that onto your mobile device, or feel free to go over to lifeinner.com and you can get the desktop version as well. And Peter and I are over there, as well as the founder of Life in Air, Steve Cook. And so you can hear from us and we see everything that's going on. We'd love to have you over there. So in addition to that, there's a little bonus for you, a fast start kit to get going on your own Life in Air journey. Once you get into the app, you'll see that in the training folder. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for spending your time with us. We do not take it lightly. We're grateful to be part of your journey and to serve you. And so until next time, live free with abundance and with prosperity. We'll see you next time.